Hey guys, it's Austin here with week four's blog or video blog of Earth's natural disasters. This week's topics was the topics of floods, and to me, this is kind of a challenging topic because it seems like so many people kind of misunderstand the severity of what a flood can do. Um, so, when mitigating a flood or being a resilient community, I think the biggest thing when it comes to a flood that I've learned or discussed with different classmates is the education that people have on floods. I think so many times we feel that a flood is just high water levels, that they're stagnant, they're not dangerous, that we can drive through flooded roadways and such, or that things don't seem to be as bad as they are. At least for here in Oklahoma. Um, Unlike other communities where, let's say New Orleans, where Hurricane Katrina hit, we have massive, massive amounts of water that are flooding into houses and things of that nature. So, how do communities in this effort respond and help out people in both situations? I think the biggest thing is having a community that is educated on each different natural disaster that their community might be prone to. For example, when Hurricane Katrina hit, there were several people that survived this storm, that weathered this storm, but didn't have access or weren't able to help their community because they didn't properly know how to educate people when there were several ways that I believe looking back at the storm or studying that storm that they could have helped. Um, the other thing is just kind of knowing what to do in situations of the storm. So many people think that the storm isn't as bad as it really is, or that they can get out in it. So with floods, the more research I've done on them, it actually seems that more people end up getting hurt, or the disaster of numbers of people hurt, injured, or killed actually rises because people put themselves in a dangerous position that they could have avoided. So knowing these situations that are dangerous and having people know that they need to avoid these situations, I think, is one of the most important things in being a resilient community. Uh, Kind of the last part of being a resilient community is the first responders or the community outreach. So when a flood like this happens, how as a community do we come together to help those people that have been affected around us? With a flood, so much water damage tends to happen to people's homes, people's valuables and belongings, food, shelter, clothing, all that sort of stuff seems to be impacted very severely. So I think as a community, the biggest thing is to find these areas or to help out these people that might not have a place to live or might not have access to these necessities of life for a very long time because water has ruined all of their valuables. Um, so after talking about this or discussing this with classmates and etc., it seems that the education or just so many people didn't know the proper education to being able to survive or to cope with a flood. Um, so I think the biggest thing learning or taking away from this week after learning about floods and being a resilient community is being educated. And I think one of these things that we can do to be educated is to simply just start at the local school level of these areas that are affected by floods. So those are just kind of some of the thoughts that I had this week and some of the things that I picked up when being a resilient community. Let me know what you think.